Hey out there, legal warriors. Do you ever wonder who the most important person in the courtroom is? Is it the judge? Is it the prosecutor? Is it the defendant? Who is it? It might not be who you think. If you're interested in this area of the law, stay tuned. This is the video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear. I'm a defense attorney in Lynnwood, Washington. My law firm's been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington State for more than 20 years, and I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. So if you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get to see it, more people get the help they need. I'm just going to jump right into it. As you know, sometimes I go walk around my office and I ask my attorneys, hey, what's a question that we've been getting lately that seems like it might be helpful if I talk about? Because I've talked about a lot of things, and sometimes I can run out of, how I can be helpful, because that's why I'm doing these things. And one of my attorneys said, Lance, a lot of clients and people out there think that, the judge is the most important person in the courtroom. Why don't you do a video about why the judge isn't as important as you think? And I said, judges aren't going to like that if I make that video, right? I better not make it that title. I don't know what the title's going to be, so let me know if that's what I titled it. But I think there is some truth to the fact that it's sort of like an umpire. If a judge is doing a good job, like an umpire is doing a good job, maybe we don't notice the judge as much, right? Just like if an umpire is doing a good job, they're not a controversial figure. So in the courtroom, it's really an adversarial system. And I want you to think about the judge as sort of the umpire or the referee, like in a sporting event. And the person who holds the most power in a criminal case is typically the prosecuting attorney. That's the person that has the power to charge somebody. That is the person that has the power to amend the charge against somebody. That is the person that has the power on their own motion to dismiss the charge against somebody. They can make recommendations to the judge, but the judge does have a lot of power. The judge doesn't have to follow sentencing recommendations. They can control the timing of continuances, what's admissible at a trial. But in the real world, for most of us that go to criminal court, if we get charged with a crime, we're never going to have a trial. And so while we are concerned absolutely about the judge, we don't really want to be fearful of the judge or overly worried about who the judge is 95% of the time. When is the most important person in the courtroom for your actual case? The judge will probably, at the first court appearance, that might be the case. At the first court appearance, the judge is typically asked to set conditions of release on the defendant, which could be bail, go to jail, right? Pay money to get out. It could be, put an interlock on your car. It could be don't consume alcohol. It could be don't have contact with your loved ones. And they make the final decision. But who is the person who makes those requests to begin with? Well, it's the prosecutor. And generally speaking, the judge is not typically going to impose harsher conditions than the prosecutor asks for. The judge will hear what the prosecutor asks, here's what the defense asks, and then make a decision. So at that first early court date, the judge is one of the more important people in the courtroom. But the reason why I'm putting this out there is not to say judges are important. It's so you can not worry as much about what is going on with who is the judge going to be and what they're going to think. It's up to your attorney to know how the prosecutor works, to know how the judge works, and then make the best decisions for your case so we don't have to worry about the judge being really cruel to you or hammering you or stuff like that. And most judges are not out to get anybody. They're just trying to do their best job to make sure it's a fair trial for the prosecution. They're supposed to do that too. A fair trial for the defense, while also trying to make sure that justice is done in their mind. And almost every judge has spent their entire career trying to become that person who has enough experience, enough legal experience and life experience to do a fair job. So what we don't want you to do is be overly worried about what the judge thinks, what the judge is going to do. Just listen to your attorney on that subject. So regarding who else is important in the courtroom, well, obviously you're important in the courtroom. How you behave matters, right? If you really can't help yourself a lot, but you can hurt yourself a lot. We don't like a decision. We don't badmouth the judge. We don't curse out the judge. We don't, directly speak to the prosecutor about things. We come to court dressed appropriately. We don't wear a hat. Hopefully avoid shorts, things like that. We behave in a way that looks responsible. We arrive on time. And if we're on Zoom, if we're on Zoom or some type of web presence, please, please, please pretend like you're in court. We don't want to be moving around. We don't want to be falling asleep during the hearing. We don't want to be drinking or smoking, things like that. So that next important person in the courtroom is you and how you behave. So again, I was asked to put out a video about why the judge isn't the most important person in the courtroom, and that was mainly so you could relax, right? That judge is there to treat you fairly. If the judge makes a ruling, we can always move to change it later. And while there's every example of a good judge and a bad judge, or a good prosecutor and a bad prosecutor, I'm sure you can put all the horror stories you want in the comments. I want you to realize that we're far more concerned about who the prosecutor is than who the judge is, because prosecutor, the people in court prosecuting, they're not elected positions, right? There's not a lot of oversight over what they do. They do what they want. And it's your attorney's job to know how the prosecutor behaves, to know what the prosecutor wants, so we can get the best result from the prosecutor, and then we need to get the judge to approve it. And if we can't get that result we want, then it gets to the jury trial. Then it gets to the jury to decide what happened, and the judge is the person that referees that. But that happens so infrequently, I want you to not worry too much about it. So I hope you found that useful. If so, please like and please subscribe. More people get to see it. More people get the help they need. More importantly, if you have a criminal problem in Washington State, feel free to reach out to my firm. We've been doing this for more than 20 years. If we get on board, we'll listen to what happened, we'll identify a way forward, and we will be there for you. Thank you.